The giant virus, a hidden titan of the microbial world. In the world of microbiology, viruses are often thought of as simple, small, and fundamentally different from other living organisms. But over the last few decades, the discovery of giant viruses has challenged many of these assumptions. These colossal viruses, often larger than some bacteria, have opened new doors in understanding the diversity and complexity of life. In this video, we will explore the fascinating world of giant viruses, their discovery, how they differ from traditional viruses, the debates they've sparked in evolutionary biology, and their potential impact on science and medicine. The discovery of giant viruses. For many years, viruses were believed to be small entities, far below the size of even the tiniest bacteria. This changed in 2003 when French scientists, led by Didier Raoult, discovered mimivirus, short for mimicking microbe, within a cooling tower in Bradford, England. The virus was so large it was initially mistaken for a bacterium. With a diameter of about 750 nanometers, mimivirus was enormous compared to typical viruses, which range from 20 to 200 nanometers. The discovery of mimivirus was just the beginning. Researchers soon found other giant viruses like Pandoravirus, which can be up to 1 micrometer in size. Pandoraviruses even surpassed the genetic complexity of most viruses, containing more than 2,500 genes. In contrast, the influenza virus has about 13 genes. These findings expanded the boundaries of what we thought viruses could be. What are giant viruses? Giant viruses are not only large in size but also in genetic content. Traditional viruses rely heavily on their host cells for replication and typically carry only a few genes. Giant viruses, by contrast, have hundreds or even thousands of genes, many of which code for functions that were once thought to be exclusive to cellular organisms, such as DNA repair and protein synthesis. Structurally, they are more complex as well. Their genomes are stored within large protein shells known as capsids, and some giant viruses are enveloped in a lipid membrane. Mimivirus and its relatives, for example, have an unusual fiber-covered surface, giving them a fuzzy appearance under the microscope. Evolutionary implications. Are giant viruses alive? The discovery of giant viruses has reignited debates about the definition of life and the evolutionary history of viruses. Traditionally, viruses have been considered non-living entities because they cannot replicate independently, they need a host. However, giant viruses blur this line. Their large genomes contain genes for functions like translation and DNA repair, processes that are typical of living cells. Some scientists have suggested that giant viruses could represent remnants of ancient life forms, possibly descended from a once autonomous form of life that lost its independence over evolutionary time. Others propose that they might be missing links between viruses and cellular life, offering clues to how life may have evolved billions of years ago. This has led to the hypothesis of the virus world or fourth domain of life, alongside bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. Although these ideas are still under debate, the discovery of giant viruses has certainly reshaped our understanding of biology. Ecological role. Giant viruses in nature. Giant viruses are not just scientific curiosities, they play important roles in ecosystems. Most of the known giant viruses infect single-celled organisms like amoebas, but they are also found in marine environments, where they infect algae and plankton. By doing so, they influence the population dynamics of these microorganisms, which are crucial to the global carbon cycle. In the oceans, viruses, including giant viruses, are responsible for a significant amount of microbial mortality. When they infect and kill their hosts, they release organic material back into the environment, providing nutrients for other organisms. This viral shunt process has far-reaching effects on marine ecosystems and, by extension, the global climate. Medical implications. Do giant viruses pose a threat? Though giant viruses primarily infect amoebas and other microorganisms, their discovery has raised questions about their potential effects on human health. In 2013, Pitovirus sibiricum, another giant virus, was discovered in Siberian permafrost. Remarkably, it remained infectious after being frozen for 30,000 years. This has led to concerns that climate change and thawing permafrost might release ancient viruses, potentially introducing new pathogens to humans and animals. So far, there is no direct evidence that giant viruses can infect humans, but researchers are still studying their potential health implications. Given their genetic complexity, they could theoretically harbor genes that could be transferred to other pathogens, raising concerns about horizontal gene transfer. For now, however, the risk remains speculative. Giant viruses and scientific frontiers. The study of giant viruses is still in its infancy, but their discovery has already led to significant scientific advancements. For one, their large genomes provide a treasure trove of genetic information. Researchers are currently exploring how giant viruses interact with their hosts, how they regulate gene expression, and how they evolved such complexity. Giant viruses also challenge some of the foundational concepts of virology and microbiology, such as what defines a virus. As we uncover more about their biology, we may need to revise the very frameworks we use to classify life. In addition, the discovery of giant viruses in ancient permafrost has spurred interest in paleovirology, the study of ancient viruses. These viruses could help us understand how ecosystems functioned in the distant past and how ancient pathogens evolved. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe to support this channel. Please share across social media platforms to reach a wider audience. A new frontier in microbiology. The discovery of giant viruses has transformed our understanding of the microbial world. These massive, complex entities challenge the traditional boundaries between viruses and living organisms and provide new insights into the evolution of life on Earth. As research continues, giant viruses may offer even more surprises, from clues about ancient ecosystems to potential implications for human health. In the end, giant viruses remind us of how much there is yet to discover about the microscopic world, and how even the tiniest forms of life can have a colossal impact on our understanding of biology and evolution. Giant viruses, such as mimivirus and pandoravirus, are much larger and more complex than traditional viruses. Their discovery has challenged the distinction between viruses and cellular life, sparking debates about the origins of life. Giant viruses play significant ecological roles, especially in marine ecosystems, influencing global processes like the carbon cycle. While they are not known to infect humans, the potential release of ancient viruses from thawing permafrost has raised concerns. These viruses offer new opportunities for scientific research, potentially reshaping the fields of virology and microbiology. Potential implications of giant viruses on human health. While giant viruses primarily infect amoebas and other single-celled organisms, their potential implications for human health have raised some concern. One notable discovery was Pithovirus sibericum, a giant virus that was revived after being frozen in Siberian permafrost for over 30,000 years. This raises the question of whether ancient viruses, trapped in ice and permafrost, could be released as the climate warms and potentially pose risks to humans. Though no direct evidence currently suggests that giant viruses can infect humans, their sheer genetic complexity and ability to survive extreme conditions present hypothetical risks. One concern is that giant viruses might harbor genes that could be transferred to other viruses or pathogens through horizontal gene transfer, potentially giving rise to new viral strains or enhancing the virulence of existing ones. As research into these viruses expands, scientists are continuing to monitor their behavior, especially in changing environmental conditions, to better understand if and how they might interact with human health. How giant viruses influence the population dynamics of microorganisms in marine ecosystems. In marine ecosystems, giant viruses primarily infect plankton and algae, two key components of the ocean's food web. These microorganisms are responsible for a large part of Earth's primary production, meaning they convert sunlight and carbon dioxide into organic matter through photosynthesis. By infecting and killing their hosts, giant viruses release organic matter and nutrients back into the water, a process known as the viral shunt. This process has significant ecological impacts. 1. Nutrient cycling. The viral shunt recycles carbon and other nutrients, fueling microbial communities and ensuring the continuity of the ocean's biological productivity. 2. Population control. Giant viruses help regulate the population sizes of microorganisms by periodically reducing the numbers of dominant species. This prevents any one species from monopolizing resources, contributing to microbial diversity. 3. Impact on global carbon cycle. Since plankton and algae play a key role in sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, viruses that infect them may indirectly influence the global carbon cycle. By altering the abundance and activity of these microorganisms, giant viruses impact carbon storage in the oceans and, by extension, climate regulation. In summary, giant viruses act as significant players in marine ecosystems, regulating population dynamics, nutrient flows, and possibly influencing global climate processes. Are giant viruses considered living organisms, and what does their discovery mean for our understanding of life's evolution? The classification of giant viruses as living organisms is a subject of ongoing debate. Traditionally, viruses are not considered alive because they cannot carry out metabolic processes or reproduce without a host. However, the discovery of giant viruses, such as mimivirus and pandoravirus, has complicated this view. Giant viruses possess many genes typically associated with cellular organisms, including those involved in DNA repair, translation, and protein synthesis, functions that most smaller viruses do not have. Some scientists argue that these viruses might represent a missing link between viruses and more complex life forms, suggesting they could be remnants of ancient cellular organisms that became parasitic over time. Others propose that giant viruses may belong to a fourth domain of life, separate from bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. If this hypothesis holds, giant viruses would represent a unique and ancient lineage that diverged early in the history of life. Ultimately, the discovery of giant viruses challenges conventional views about the definition of life. It blurs the line between living organisms and viruses, raising questions about the origin of life itself and how simple and complex forms of life have evolved over billions of years. The study of these viruses offers potential insights into evolutionary biology, suggesting that life is more diverse and complex than previously thought, old have imagined. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe to our channel for more self-improvement videos. Comment below to tell us how useful you found this video. Remember to share on various social media platforms to reach a wider audience. Click the notification bell to get notified anytime we post a new video. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.